Hello artists, welcome to another process video. Today I'll be sharing with you a painting process of this piece that you can see now on the screen. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Irit. I'm an intuitive artist based in Austria in Europe, and on my channel I share my artsy adventures. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so that I know what you like. I also invite you to subscribe and watch my recent gift guide, and also I'm not sure exactly when this video will be posted, but I will be having videos of my favorite supplies for 2023. And so I think those videos are the most telling because you can really see what a particular artist, me in this case, uses and loves. And it's so much more valuable than, unboxing, first impressions, product reviews and such. So make sure you stay tuned for those. Now today I'm actually working on one piece, which recently I've been working on two, but still, since I felt like I was a little bit developing new subjects, new concepts, I just decided to focus on one piece. And if you haven't seen my previous process video, then I highly recommend watching that one, because I tried some new kind of compositions and ideas for me, and a lot of it didn't work, and I was kind of working through it. And here you can really see how I incorporate new elements into my paintings and kind of a more familiar style that I feel comfortable with. So I'm starting with just my usual sketching. I don't know, this time I was fussing around. This tends to be a very fast stage for me, usually just a few minutes, but this kind of sets the tone for the rest of my painting. And I like to do these sketches with Neocolor 1 or Neocolor 2 if I don't have the right color in Neocolor 1. These are wax pastels. I talk about them all the time. They're made by Carandash. This is a Swiss brand, and they are fantastic. And what I love about them is that they're very pigmented and not messy, which for pastels is not easy to find. Most pastels are quite messy. These are not. And I prefer the Neocolor 1 formula, which is water resistant. So meaning these sketch lines are going to resist all the watercolors that I'm going to add on top. And first of all, I love the look of that, but it also really helps me kind of keep things in check. You will see how, I know a lot of you have been here for years, and so you've seen how my style has changed and developed. And I really love these kind of small puddles and areas of color. And using these wax pastels also make that much easier for me, because they just kind of hold the watercolors where they are, and they don't really let them mix and make just like huge puddles of muddy colors. So here's what I want to mention about inserting a new element. I have this one fountain that is in my head. It's one of the landmarks of Tel Aviv, a town that has great kind of nostalgia feeling for me. It's just a place where I always go on vacation, always meet either my childhood friend or, go with my husband. So it's just like a symbol of summer, because it's usually hot there, and freedom and vacation. And one of the most kind of known landmarks is a particular water fountain. And I've been kind of sketching it, and I've painted it before, mostly paintings that were just like focused on it. And I never really kind of fell in love with it. But because that subject keeps popping in my mind, I'm also exploring different ways of actually incorporating it into my paintings. And so that's what you see here on the paper on the bottom kind of middle left, which is a new representation for me of this little fountain. And the reason I'm talking so much about this, this is just like one element in a painting. It's not that important as just, the subject of the painting, but it's just a really great example for me, and hopefully for you also, to see how working through subjects, concepts, ideas that just, keep nagging you, or nagging is the wrong word because it has a negative connotation, but just like things that are there, how if you try different things and work through it and kind of manipulate it and make it your own, you can find a way to really make it work. So this fountain, the previous times that I've painted it, it was larger, it was the center of the scene, and I kind of paid more attention on creating, let's say, a similar version of reality. So kind of like a street scene or something that resembles more reality. This time I threw all that out the window. I like the shape of it. I like what it means to me. And so I kept that and I stuck it in a painting that otherwise has really no connection to how that place actually looks like, with the exception of like the general shape of this water fountain. So I kept that, but I also just painted it in colors that work. So this particular water fountain was originally really, really colorful. It has these kind of vertical stripes going all along each tier that you see. It has like kind of 5 tiers, one huge one in the middle, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. And those were very, very colorful. And that's usually what I painted. Right now it is gray because of some artistical creative differences between the city and the artist. I'm not sure. But I was kind of clinging to that original design, also because I love, color. So that's one of the reasons that I love this landmark. But every time I painted it, I kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't like 100% joyous or authentic, or it just didn't feel so much as my painting. I'm not even sure how to put it into words, but it kind of worked. I mean, I don't hate those paintings. They're kind of okay. I have several versions of it, but it just never really, really made me, finish those paintings and say, this is so me. This is so lovely. And here I finally feel like it makes sense. I don't even know if I want to paint, that street scene with that fountain in the middle and everything around it. I just know I like it. And here I totally changed the colors and just used colors that I love, which is of course cobalt violet. It's one of my, I think, signature colors. And then some ultramarine blue at the bottom there to suggest the pool that this water fountain like sits on top. And yeah, this is just like a very dreamlike or manipulated suggestion of this landmark, also in colors and scale that kind of just work with all the other mess around it. And it makes me really happy to see it this way. And you can see the rest around it. I have some suggestions of sun umbrellas. I have these palm trees, which I've been really enjoying painting. Really, really love palm trees. It's fun to paint. And I just think they add this kind of detail that you immediately see it. And to me, I see them, I think of summer. And that's why I really like to include them. And also it allows me to have fun with shades of green. And just the shape, I love their shape. And then I have a suggestion of the sky, a suggestion of some, I guess, water, that turquoise blob at the bottom, a very kind of clear suggestion or sketch of a sun, that yellow circle at the top. This is not something that I regularly do in my paintings, but I felt like it, so there it is. And then there's a lot of sketchy marks and blobs and pretty colors around, and it just it works for me, and it's truly fun. And I really was looking forward to making this video, especially after last week's process, because there I was really, I struggled. It wasn't, like a struggle again. I think it sounds a little bit more bombastic than it is. But, I was really struggling to kind of try new things and make them my own. And I feel like here you can see me already in that next level, where things seem to make more sense and I can bring new subjects but still make them work for me. So let's talk a little bit about materials. I try to mention in all of my videos, but I do have dedicated videos for, my watercolor palette, my gouache palette. I say that this time I didn't bring out my gouache palette. Actually, usually I start with both my watercolor palette and my gouache palette these days. I'm thinking maybe I should consider doing one palette to rule them all. But what I did bring out is my palette of Japanese watercolors. And I did a dedicated video to this storage solution system that I'm using when I got it. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work for me. What I was hoping, I love the Japanese watercolors formula. They're something like a hybrid when you use them. And I feel like the formulation, you can kind of use them as gouache without that whole, crumbly thing that gouache paint does after it's been in the pan for a long time. So the formula here and the colors really speak to me. And I really wanted to use these more. But because they're so huge and the boxes that they come in are also kind of huge, it takes a lot of space, like real estate on your desk, and I wasn't using them as much. But I found this storage solution that you see here. It's from MM Studio, I want to say. I will put somewhere a link to that video so you can check it out. But you see they have these boxes that house 12 of these. And I think when you buy, you get 2 tiers or 3 tiers, and then you can add more. So I have 4, and I have to tell you, I have been using my Japanese watercolors so much more since I got this system. So for me, it's working really well, and I'm really happy about it, because if there's something that I love is using my supplies more and kind of finding ways to make it easier for me to use supplies. I'm the sort of person, I hate prep work. I hate having to go through multiple steps to use a particular product. And this, for me, is a very big, what's the word that I'm looking for? Consideration when I choose which supplies to use. So the reason I love watercolors is because, besides the glorious colors and everything, it's just the easy setup. I just have my palette. I don't need to squeeze out paints. I use reconstituted watercolors. I do the same for gouache. I have a palette that I keep it quite moistened, but I've had it now working for probably a few months now. And I do see that some of the paints are getting, drier, crumblier. It does depend on the brand and a specific, pigment and formulation. But in general, it's not smooth sailing as much as with watercolors. And the Japanese watercolors are kind of a good in-between solution of getting that gouache experience, but with the whole ease of watercolors. That's how I feel. And the colors are really, really glorious. So I'm happy to tell you, if you were wondering, that storage solution is working really well for me. So this, I think, is probably the next day, or usually it's a couple of hours later, when that first layer of gouache and watercolors is dry. And here I'm adding a lot of details, marks, little patterns in pencils. And with the exception of a few areas here and there that I really love adding some black marks, and I'm using the Derwent drawing pencil. I love that pencil. It's like the best, most softest, intense black pencil ever. And what I like about it, I also have a black pencil from Staedtler, their Lumograph pencils, their Mars Lumograph. These are fantastic as well, but I prefer this one. I find it still to be a little bit softer, and also it's not as messy as graphite. It just doesn't, rub away. Graphite always has a little bit of residue. If you paint a lot with a pencil, you know this, that like the side of your hand gets full of the graphite. This pencil doesn't do it, and it's just perfection. So I think, if I had to use like one black pencil, I would choose that one. It's really perfect. And then I'm just adding patterns, marks in different colors of colored pencils. My joy of this stage is to kind of match the colors of the pencils to the shades of my watercolors. And I really love that. It gets especially challenging when you get to all the kind of more muted areas that are almost neutral, and then maybe are a little bit purplish or a little bit brownish. So I really enjoy that. It's a fun part of the process for me, and having those details in pencil also allows me to keep things very fresh and very light, but still looking more finished, more detailed, more interesting than if I just left it to be with watercolors. Now, this is absolutely a personal taste and choice type of thing. If you're more minimalistic, you would think this has gone too far. I prefer it in the earlier stages. And I have a lot of paintings that are like that. But I think here I am kind of walking that line of adding more and being less minimalistic, but also, just really enjoying the process. This part is, it is, addictive in like the best way, that I just get to sit there and do these little lines in colors that I love and match colors. And I love it. I do think it adds detail to my paintings that I struggled in the past to achieve with watercolors, just because I felt I was always walking that line between overworked. And here, I think still, of course, there is some self-control needed, that at some point, you have to stop. But I still feel like my paintings have that light, fresh feel to them, and also they still walk that line, which I personally love, of a sketch. I love sketches. Sometimes there are so many artists where I actually love their sketches, and they're kind of quick works that are more raw and minimalistic than their finished, more polished, more detailed works. And so that's also how I enjoy my paintings. Like I like them to look like a sketch. And I think pencil lines and, scribbly lines and marks really add to that. And so this painting was a real joy to make, and I absolutely love, you can see now how that little water fountain just kind of found its way into a composition or a very similar painting that I've explored with familiar subjects that you can also find on my channel from previous weeks. These blobs of colors, the rainbow order, the palm trees, like all these things. I've been doing them a lot, like dozens of times. And now I have this cute little new subject that I can insert into my paintings. And when I look at it, I think of freedom, and I think of summer days with my loved ones. And that is definitely a part for me in my process and in my paintings. It's a combination of my love for color and also my kind of messy brain and different thoughts floating around different colors and different places and subjects that remind me of moments in my life that, that I was happy or that brought me joy. And it's just really fun to kind of see it all come together, the concepts, but then also just really, really enjoy the process and relax into it and then have something at the end that I love. And that has been like all these pieces coming together. I feel like I've been looking for this place and this feeling for years, since I started painting. I was always kind of looking. I thought about this kind of metaphor that, you know, when you walk around a parking lot and you're not sure where you parked, so you keep pressing your remote control for your car until you see your car light up, and you know, and then you find it. And I feel like so many of the art classes that I've taken and so many of the brush miles that I've made was just me walking in the parking lot, like pressing that button, you know, hoping that it'll click and I will find what is mine. And that's what these past years have been for me. And I'm not saying I'm done, but I finally am in what pops in my head is the promised land. Well, I think that is far too bombastic for what it is, but I definitely feel like I'm there, you know. And of course there's like more exploring to do, and I don't know like every corner of this place, but this is where I wanted to be, and I'm finally here. And I'm just so excited about it. And, you know, I'm happy for myself, but I want this for all of you, like all of you that watch and, you know, enjoy the process and feel inspired. I want you to feel this way when you're sitting down and painting. I don't want you to feel frustrated. I don't want you to feel inadequate. I want you to enjoy every minute and be excited about what you're doing. And I want your heart to sing when you look at your paintings. And I want you to feel that joy and relaxation when you're painting. So I hope you enjoyed this process video. Make sure you check all of my videos around this time, the ones that have already been posted, and stay tuned for those that are coming. It's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good product talk. And yeah, I wish you a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.